Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Florentin, and this will be a first installment in me talking about Victor Wooten's second book, The Spirit of Music. A few years back, 2 or 3 years ago, I made a 5-part video series on his first book titled The Music Lesson, and this is a sequel to that. Literally came out weeks ago, and I'm almost done reading it. I'm on page 275 out of like 350. It's a very easy read. It's a quick read. It's just that I'm reading multiple books at once. So in this video, I'd like to introduce this book, tell you a little bit about the author and about the book, and then maybe I'll do a couple more videos to get into the details about the book itself. But first, some tea. Ooh, that's good. This time I went with wild berry from Celestial Seasonings. It's one of my favorite brands, and I just opened this box this morning. No sugar, no lemon in it, nothing. Just the tea itself. And I leave the bag in there. I pour boiled water on top and leave the bag in there. And it's very tasty. So anyways, the first book that Victor Wooten published is more technical than the second one. So if you're into music theory and if you're interested in a different approach to learning or reviewing music theory, I highly recommend this book. He presents 10 music elements in the first book, and they are notes, articulation and duration, technique, emotion and feel, dynamics, rhythm and tempo, tone, phrasing, space and rest, and listening. It's quite a unique approach to the music elements. Usually musicians and music educators will divide music elements into 5 or 6 different elements depending on who you listen to. I usually go with 6. I think I have 6 of them. He provides 10 different music elements, so it's a very interesting, very creative way to talk about different music elements. And this is fiction, so it's a story. It's an actual story. Don't let the unusual elements of the story throw you off at first. You'll read about singing deer and talking hawks and things like that. It's just fiction. At first I was myself kind of thrown off by that because I'm not into this new age stuff. But I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just fiction, and it's just a creative way for Victor to teach the music elements in a new, fresh way. So Victor Wooten, if you've never heard him play, he's a bassist, an electric bass player, an amazing musician, composer, improviser. If you've never heard him play, if you've never heard him talk about music theory, if you haven't read his books, I highly recommend any of his work. You will be not only impressed, but you will be enriched, and you will learn a lot, and you'll enjoy every second of it. A wonderful human being, a great person, and an awesome musician. The 2 books, I'll place links for these at the bottom. I'll throw in a link for my tea as well, but I'll place links for these books. This is a sequel to the first one. I mean, you could read the second one first if you want. There's some elements in it from the first book, so it helps to read the first one first, but it really doesn't matter. Anyways, again, before I get into this book, the first one is more technical in my opinion. It's more specific about music theory, and you'll learn a lot and you'll be amazed. The second one is more like ideological, I guess. In the second book, Victor creates this story about this battle between forces that would want to destroy music as we know it and turn it into something that it was never supposed to be, this commercialized, automated, free-for-all music that anybody can access at no expense, with no sacrifice, and basically with the end purpose of actually destroying it. So he creates this fictional story of good forces and bad forces battling for better to keep music healthy and alive. So that's what happens. That's what happens in the second book. Like I said, 350 pages. It has, how many chapters do we have in there? It has 19 chapters and a couple of additional chapters, introduction and conclusion. And he calls each chapter a measure. Measure 1, measure 2, measure 3. I've enjoyed the book very much so far. I'm almost done with it. The only thing that, I gotta be honest, the only thing that I didn't like very much was that Victor took almost 180 pages to kind of get into the meat of the book. That's how I felt anyways. He took a long time to introduce the characters and to introduce the battle and the plot and what's happening. And by the time we really get into anything that's actually musical, in some way or another, we're almost at page 200, and then you end up not wanting the book to end. I guess that's a good thing for the book, right? I'm almost done with the book, but I don't want it to end because we're finally reading about things that are at least somewhat musical. So that one part, I was wishing that I wished that he would get it. He would have gotten to that a little bit earlier in the book. But Victor is not your typical author. He's a musician, providing a very different, fresh way to talk about music. That's for sure. I saw that in the first book that he published. So he continues with that in the second book. I just wish that he would have gotten into the topic a little bit earlier in the book. I can't say too much about the story without giving it away, so I'm not going to give it away. I want you to read it for yourself. I'll just say that it's very creative, and it's also very reflective of the way that Victor plays. He's a very free spirit, and he doesn't really play according to any, boxed concepts of anyone or even himself. He just plays music as if it's alive, as if it is a living organism, and as if it is a means for communication. That's exactly what it is, right? So that's not typical for for a regular book. So he has a very different approach in that way. So don't expect to read this book or these books and get the same experience as if you read like a regular novel or something. It's going to be quite different, and actually that was one of my favorite things. I won't get into specifics in this first video. I'll just say that for the first almost 200 pages, Victor introduces character after character, and he introduces this supposed battle between good forces and bad forces. Some are there to destroy music and commercialize it and turn it into something that it's not. And the others are there to defend it and to keep it alive and to keep it healthy, as he puts it. And in the last 120 pages or so, he's finally getting into more musical stuff, talking about communication among musicians when they play, and listening, and being aware of every person in the ensemble in a very creative, very pedagogical way, but in a very different, not your typical classroom way. So as a classroom teacher that's always looking for different ways to teach the same concept, I'm really enjoying that aspect of the book. So in my next video, maybe I'll get into more specifics about the book, some specific things that he talks about. I just wanted to introduce it, let you know that I'm almost done with it. Feel free to take a look at both books. I'll place Amazon links for both of them, and feel free to take a look. Victor is the kind of musician that doesn't post a lot of free resources, such as YouTube videos and things of that nature. Not because he's a greedy person, but because he feels and believes that if you're going to experience music, it should cost you something. You should sacrifice something for it. It shouldn't be so readily available. He believes in going to a concert and paying for tickets to listen to the musician, which not only helps the musician out, right, in their career, but also it makes you have this sense of ownership. Like if you invest some of your time and money in going to the concert, it's going to be a different kind of experience. and that's an interesting way to look at it. So you won't see a lot of performing videos from Victor Wooten published by himself anyways. Other people do it. He does it occasionally because he, like I said, believes in me and you going to a concert and giving some of our cash and sacrificing a little bit to see a musician play. So there's that. But there are some videos available of him on YouTube online, so feel free to look him up. You spell his name Victor Wooten, the bottom of that book right there. Okay, and I think I'll stop here for now. I'm off this week, so I'll try to make a couple of the videos if possible. I'm practicing a lot, so maybe I won't be able to. We'll see. But Thanksgiving is almost here. I wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving with your families and friends, and I hope you have a good one, and be thankful for everything that you've got. I sure am. Have a wonderful day. See you later.